Hey everybody, welcome back to the 42 Days of Magical Practice. We're on day 29. No, we're not. We're on day 30. It's weird because I planned on saying 30 and then I saw 29 in my head for some reason. Anyway.
Because that was the last button that you pushed.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, when we were typing everything up. Yeah. So we've been talking about conscious breathing, conscious charging or drinking and so today we're going to talk about conscious intake of nourishment or conscious eating. Right. And again, I mean, the formula is going to be the same. The formula is going to be very similar, putting our desires, or the feeling of the wish fulfilled, let's say, into the substance that we're bringing into our bodies. But before we get into the details of the practice, maybe we can talk a little bit about just the idea of conscious eating in general, because it's definitely starting to become, for a lot of people, a societal norm, to be either watching television while you're eating or whatever, or you've got a mini television on your phone right in front of you, right. So you can do that. It's immediately, it's right there.
It's kind of like even reading a book while you're doing it.
Oh yeah, right.
That's still a distraction from
the
consciously
activity.
Intaking your food. I think that in a place where we constantly are distracted, or there are more distractions around. I mean, I know people will argue the fact that, reading is a good thing, and reading is a good thing, but anything that distracts you from what you're doing at the time is not, you're not going to get the same end result that you would if you were focused on that.
What do you think are it's hard to shift our attitudes and our behaviors in these areas. A lot of times it's we know something is good for us, or we hear that something is bad for us or whatever, but it's still difficult to break outside of that pattern. And especially with television, or even reading, or even just having something in front of you. It's sometimes it seems like we want that distraction. Or sure. That there's a comfort to having it there, or something like that.
I think it's part of it is that most distractions, if let's say, what are they outside of the entertainment value, for lack of a better word, whether they're, if I'm thinking about reading, it'd be something for education or information that I'm gathering in one way or another, or entertainment, and if I'm reading a novel or whatever that is. But I think it's just when we have that, what is it that we're looking for when we're pushed to do that?
To do what?
To do any of those things, to watch TV, to read a book, or to do any of those things. If I say, I'm setting this time aside to educate myself about something, I'm going to read this book about finance, or I'm going to read this book about medicine, or I'm going to read this book about whatever it is that you do, and you set time aside to do that, you're focused on, you have a, what do I want, and why do I want it? I want to be better at what I do, and this is one way that I'm going to achieve that goal, by educating myself deeper in the topic that I'm looking at, or that I'm involved in, right? So, but a lot of times when we have that same sort of drive, and usually for entertainment value things, our drive is a little stronger to do those things, to be immersed in that. And I think it's, again, just to sort of pull us out of our daily existence, and which is fine when that's, you're intending to do that, to just sort of put everything else on suspension, and you're just going to be immersed in this thing, and you're going to have a good time. It's going to make you laugh if it's a funny movie, or it's going to, maybe you have a really boring life and you like these action adventure things, and, it gets you all revved up, and then you go back to that. It's like this little pattern interrupt as well, right? But what is it when, I just, it's not that I just want to do that all the time, and I feel a physical pull to do that. I mean, it's, my body is looking for that same sort of chemical cascade to bring on that feeling that I'm immersed in that thing, or I'm taking a break. I'm so exhausted that I'm just, using this distraction to escape my reality at that point. And so it's that discomfort level that sort of, for me, gives me the indicator that, am I really making this decision, or is my body making this decision? Is it just this feeling that, what is that feeling of me, almost like an addiction feeling, like I have to have that right now. It's like, I'm so tired. Only coffee will get me out of this. It's, can I just take a moment? Is that a wake-up call? It's like a little alarm in my head goes off. It's not every time, but a lot. If it becomes a habit, that's the thing. It's like my body's making that decision for me, and it's like, that's not acceptable, at least for me. So it's like I'm evaluating it just for a second. I'm just saying, wait a second, am I going to die if I don't get this cup of coffee? Like, if I'm at a place where there is no coffee, am I just going to be lamenting over this the whole time, and that I don't have my coffee, or I'm going to find any excuse to escape and get that cup of coffee? I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't like that element of my body controlling how I think or how I feel. So I try to be conscious about whatever it is that I'm doing. And I know it sounds like, be here now, or all of those.
Sounds a lot like that.
Yeah. And in some ways it is.
Okay, so go ahead.
But I'm just checking in just to see. I mean, if it is just a here and there, it's no harm. It's just really, for me, it's more when it becomes a habit, or the tendency is there that becomes my catch-all. It's like, oh, I don't have enough energy. I didn't have my cup of coffee this morning, or oh, I don't have, whatever that is. I didn't get my whatever. Pick your poison. So I think that, again, coming back to something we did before, was just that ability to focus on something and push yourself through that territory. Will I? For me, looking at it logically is a way to sort of dissipate that to some extent, and maybe even getting a little bit aggressive with myself and saying, I'm not going to do that just because I decide what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. So not my body pushing me to do that. And then at some other time when I feel that that's no longer an issue, then I'll go back and have another cup of coffee or whatever it is. When I do that, it's not usually like 10 minutes later, because I'm just delaying it. If I get those feelings, a lot of times I don't want to say I'm punishing myself. I'm just sort of like taking a hard line with myself and saying, okay, I'm not going to have, I'm like having a conversation with my own body, and saying, if you don't drop this or keep interrupting with these things, I'm just, I'm not going to give you coffee for the next 5 days or whatever it is. And so, the funny part is that a lot of times if I do that, the feeling just dissipates, it goes away. It's almost like being more aggressive with myself and being more disciplined with myself and holding my own toes to the fire, so to speak, cuts that impulse off. So it's just one of those things. It's kind of a sidetrack from where we're going with this, but it's the idea,
not really.
right?
I don't think, because, I think because one of the things about not just doing, I think it's one thing to set aside time in the beginning or the end of the day to meditate or to do some type of energetic practice, but when it comes to imbibing or doing these techniques that interrupt the normal flow of your daily life, and you're kind of setting up, you're choosing to do something in a little bit of a different way, I think a lot of times that's even harder than saying, I'm going to meditate for 15 minutes or whatever before I go to bed, or when I wake up in the morning, because it's like the flow of your day hasn't started yet. So you're not like already immersed in the momentum of the flow of what you normally do. And when you do these things, you are in that normal flow, whether it be a habit for the better or for the worse. It's like, so even just to stop and, bring up a feeling consciously and place it into what you're about to consume is an interruption in the flow. You're for that moment, you have to break the momentum of what you're used to doing all the time, every day. And for most of us, there's a shitload of momentum there. Right.
I mean, that hypnotic rhythm of even a normal day is still, it's a habitual pattern.
Right.
Right. And we expect it, and when we don't get it, it's uncomfortable.
Right.
When we have to shift gears, we have to sort of go on the, we're sort of on the fly now. We have to make other decisions and try to bring it back on course. And I think these are sort of, contrived ideas in a way that, of how we can do that intentionally, like with the water and the breathing and those things. It does. I mean, people will, I would be surprised if people don't feel silly when they first start doing it. Even if they've done other practices like this. And when you start any new practice, especially something that's sort of incorporated into your day rather than isolated someplace in your house where nobody knows what you're doing, then you're going to feel a little apprehensive about that. You're going to feel probably a little silly about that, or the disbelief goes off the charts, or whatever it is, anything. And all of those things are just ways for your body to say, this is going to produce something that is not comfortable for me. It's not the familiar, it's not the norm. And anytime we go outside the norm, anytime we have something that's a little bit unfamiliar, there's that little state of, or great state of, sort of panic a little bit. It's like, oh, wait a second, what's going on? And I'll start to think of all the things, good reasons in my mind why I should just go back to the norm, or why I shouldn't do this thing. Because it's uncomfortable. It's not familiar. So it's not the day in and day out of what I've done in the past for probably many years. And so, but that's also an indicator that we're sort of trapped in this endless loop, because whatever you do and consistently do in that way, that becomes an unconscious thing for you. We can call it a habit, but the worst part of habits is that they just produce more of the same thing. And so here we are doing this work and trying to have people do this, and so that they can experience something different. But if you fall back into those same patterns, how can you fall into those same patterns and then expect a different result? You can't. Right. So you have to find these pattern interrupts. You have to find these places where you can make your external environment more malleable by making yourself more malleable, right? More flexible. How things are going to, change for you. You're going to do something a little different to see what kind of different result you will get. And if you're persistent enough and you get the results that you're looking for, great. If you're doing it consistent enough and it's not quite you're getting some changes, but it's not the changes that you want, then you augment it a bit until you can pull it in line with your stated desire, whatever that is. You will get some result, but you may have to break through a few of these barriers before you do that.
For me, I think it helps if I can think about, when I'm sitting down to eat or drink or whatever, it's like this activity is I'm not just putting in fuel for my body, but the way that I perform this activity is a microcosm of my life. Again, looking at it like the way that I eat food is an aspect of what produces the conditions of my life, right? Or the environment of my life, or how I feel, right? It's not just like the way that we think of it, or a lot of times the way that we think of it, like, it's just filling up the tank, or whatever.
Exactly. That's why I can read a book and do that at the same time, because it's just fuel for the tank.
It's like the same as how we have like those awful televisions at gas stations now.
Oh, right, where you're filling up the gas tank.
I'm always like, where's the mute button on this thing? Like, shut up.
It's stuff that I avoid on a regular basis, and yet they're pumping it through whether I don't need to or not. If the gas handle is pulled, it's coming on.
It used to be like music, and now it's just like...
bad music.
Just commercials or whatever.
It's like being trapped in an elevator with music, It's like...
Oh my God.
It's inundating you from every angle now.
Right.
And that's the thing. How do we break out of that? How do we take our lives back? How do we make them what we want them to be?
Especially at a time when people feel so stressed and overwhelmed and everything. It's like, God, why do we think we're like that? Why do we think we feel like that?
And we're bombarded all the time.
Yeah.
And most times with things that we don't want or don't need.
Right.
I mean, look at advertising and things like that, right? That's constantly putting stuff out there that it's like, the newest, greatest dog food, It's
latest, the latest carrot.
The latest carrot.
Yeah.
Right. So
do you feel like consciously, this specific practice that we're going to do today, where you're, putting your intention into your food, do you feel like, like that's kind of like, just another way, it's a powerful way to kind of wake up from that? Or
I think any chance that we have to sort of be conscious about what we're doing at any given moment is a way to, wake up, if you will, or bring a new level of energy to anything that we're doing. When you're that laser focused on every aspect of your day, that's pretty powerful. I mean, you will be more efficient, you will be more effective, and your days you'll wonder where the time went, because it becomes sort of this timelessness that
in a good way.
In a good way, right?
Right.
Because you're just so focused on everything. Everything is in the same moment, right? So it's just the intent is there. You're able to keep that intention at a high peak all through the day.
Cool.
Yeah.
So take us through the practice.
Again, it's just an extension of the air or the water, and I'm concentrating, forming my idea of what I want, and then as I do that, I put it into whatever I'm consuming at the time, food-wise. So, and just projecting it in there, seeing it form inside of that, and have the connection that as I consume that, it's like I'm literally consuming my desire, whatever that is. And again, that fuel is not just fueling your body, but the energetic fuel that's in there is fueling and building up your resonance to match that of your desire already achieved. Again, always already achieved, not the process, just the achievement of that goal.
And do you do it the same way that you do with the water, where you see it as like a sphere or something inside the food?
I do it that way.
Resonating out.
Yeah, I do it that way. I mean, or again, for me, some people just do, like, if it's whatever your meal is.
Yeah.
Obviously with dinner, there's multiple things on the plate, hopefully.
Right.
But, and some people will do it with everything on the plate. The one thing that they would, or, in the past people have said, is that whatever you put in there, you want to consume all of that, whatever it is. So if it's all of that glass of water, you want, if you're putting it in a glass of water, you want to consume all of the glass of water. You don't want to throw any of it away.
Okay.
So
with the food.
With the food, so because sometimes people take more food than they can eat, right? So you don't want to. The idea is that you don't want to throw your dream away. You don't want to throw your desire away. So I usually just project it into a single piece of food on the plate that I know I'm going to consume the whole thing.
I see.
And so that sort of eliminates that problem. So I don't usually take more food than I can eat, but if I had to get up and run out or something happened, then I wouldn't be left with that dilemma. Not that one time is going to make a big difference, but just shovel it in as you're walking out the door. Wrap it up in a newspaper, eat it, eat it on the way. So, but that's the idea. So, for me, I just sort of see that and I enjoy it. It's like all of the things that go with food, because eating food that you enjoy is a big part of eating, right? It's not just otherwise we could just pour out sludge or whatever that was just nutrients and it didn't taste like anything. You just drink it down, and even when we do those types of things, it's not always as satisfying as whatever your favorite meal is, whatever your favorite food is.
Right.
So, I enjoy every aspect of that, and I sort of blend that into my desire. So if it's something that's savory, it's like I feel that richness or that savory flavor as part of my desire. And so I'm adding in that element of, that aspect of taste, the sense of taste with that, or the smell of the food. All of those bring a richness to my idea, to my desire. And when I project that in there, it sort of encapsulates all of that. And so when I'm consuming that, I'm really enjoying, that food. And the more I enjoy it, the better I feel about, that desire as well being fully achieved. This is what it tastes like for this thing to really come to fruition. That type of, mental gymnastics.
Yeah, it is mental gymnastics. It sounds like something that would be difficult to do when you're like sitting down across the table from somebody, or multiple people at the table and you're kind of chit-chatting.
And at the same time, not so much. I mean, we've had dinner plenty of times, right? And so sure. It's not unusual to see any one of us, when we have a great meal, take a bite and go, oh my God, this tastes so great, or whatever. That's just part of it, right? That's part of a community eating together, right? It's right. Like enjoying the food. I mean, obviously not every bite, it doesn't have to be over exaggerated, but the idea is that the appreciation of it, or if somebody said, people ask all the time, what's your favorite food? Mm-hmm. Usually people, they might have to think for a second because we have so much variety these days, right?
Yeah, totally.
But it's like they might, some people will just immediately say chocolate ice cream.
Right.
Or whatever, chocolate. My wife would be like, chocolate.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It'd be a first, you wouldn't even be able to finish the sentence.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food? And it'd be chocolate.
Yeah.
So, so that would be it. And so for her, that's, that richness of that culinary experience, if we want to call it that, that enhances that idea. This is what, if I could have anything, and if I had to embody my desire in a food, what would that food be?
Right.
If I had to picture it that way, what would that be? For some people, it would be a T-bone steak, right? For other people, it would be a juice of some sort, or whatever. Whatever is the most satisfying, tastiest thing that you could think of. If somebody said, what would $1 million taste like to you?
Right.
It would be this fine wine, or whatever it is, whatever you would just think embodied the essence of that. So if you're drinking that or eating that or whatever it is, every bite you take, it just confirms that idea. This is my desire in this physical form. And so it's just sort of flipping it a bit, but that's the idea. And it will enhance the ability for you to feel what that's like as that's, being presented to you.
So it sounds like something that, obviously you don't have to be too, rigid or super intensely focused about I'm eating don't distract me. Don't distract me.
Don't talk to me.
I'm manifesting stuff right now. Leave me alone.
Let me finish this last bite of $1 million.
Yeah, right. It's right. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, again, you can get literally as crazy with this as you want, but I think that's missing the point. The idea is that we're trying to integrate it into our lives.
Yeah.
You still want to, unless you don't. I mean, if you don't mind being crazy, then that's fine. If you don't mind isolating everybody away from you, that's fine.
Right.
But for most of us, we want to integrate this into our friends and family and lives. We want it to enhance our lives, not take away from our lives.
Right.
I think that's the point that bears sort of reiterating, that it's like this is supposed to help you in everyday life. If it's not, then you're doing something wrong. If it's drudgery to you and it's not helping you, you're not in the right thing, or you're not doing it the right way.
Right.
You have to adjust your frame of reference, whatever that's supposed to be. So it should help you every day.
Yeah.
It's not just about hitting this one desire. What do these practices do for you every day? Do they make you get through your day better? Do they enhance your daily existence in some way, shape, or form? Do you just feel better physically? Do you feel better mentally? Do you feel lighter? Do you sleep better? Do you feel more rested? Do you feel like you have more energy? All of these things, these practices in and of themselves should help you every day in some way, shape, or form. It's not just about hitting the goal. I mean, that's really what's meant by, the process, is that while you're on your way to the goal, you're feeling the techniques that you're using are making your everyday existence feel better and better. That's short and sweet. If it's not, then it's either A, it's not for you, it's not the technique for you, or you've misinterpreted something, or you need to adjust something, augment it slightly for your benefit in a way that's going to make that happen for you. But it should help you every day. This is not a be good now and when you die you get your reward. No. It's get your reward a little bit every day. Do something that makes you feel better about this life right now. And feeling better, I mean, it's hard to be a total prick to either your family or people that you don't know at all when you're feeling really, really good. It's just, it's difficult to be a bad human when you're feeling really, really good. Or what we would consider a bad human.
Right.
Just a not uncompassionate, total
whatever
dick.
Yeah.
It's like it's tough to do when you're feeling great. I think that we could agree that most people that are like that probably don't feel very good about wherever they are in life at this point. Whether they have money, prestige, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like they're just, something is making them miserable. And even if they can't pin it down or they don't know what it is, something's having that effect because that's what they're projecting out. They're just taking it out on anybody that's around them. It's like a wounded animal. It's just gonna, no matter how much it wants help, it's gonna bite anybody that gets near them. It's just hurting. That's it. So, on the opposite side, it's hard to be like that when you feel really, really good.
Yeah. True.
True.
Yeah.
It's everything seems to take on a little bit, better. The edges get blunted a bit. Things get slightly fuzzier or more clarity. So you see things in a different light anyway that help you respond in a more appropriate way, whatever that way is at the time. Sometimes it's a hard way, but it's still clear when you're doing it. I think that comes from, having a better and better experience every day and being in that zone all the time. Being in the flow all the time will produce that effect for you more and more. And the more you do it, the more you want it. So again, it helps to drive you forward to do the next thing, to, do the next practice or jump back and try something else and, use a different practice to see if you can bring that up to the same level now that you have a taste of it. Oh, okay, now I'm going to go back and do this other one differently because I didn't get quite as much out of that one. Let me try it again, but from this different attitude. Maybe I gleaned something from this one that I can use in these other ones and make them even better. It's that kind of flexibility. And all with that, yes, you have an end result, you have a want or a desire that you're moving toward, but really, I mean, you need to feel well or feel as if your everyday existence is getting better. And that's the bottom line.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where's the chocolate?
Yeah. Enjoy your lunch.
Enjoy your lunch and dinner.
Whatever meal you're going to have after this.
Right.
Hope it's a good one.
All right.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you.